People like to pretend power corrupts, but the truth is simpler. Power terrifies. And when that power has a name, a face, and a heartbeat that accelerates every time it gets close to you, terror becomes something dangerously close to desire. I wasn't supposed to be here, standing in the shadow of a man who could end me with a single decision. Yet here I was, staring up at him, my pulse betraying every ounce of fear I swore I wouldn't show. "Do you know what happens to people who cross me?" His voice was low, magnetic, the kind that dragged confessions from your throat before you even realized you'd spoken. I swallowed hard. "I'm not afraid of you." It was a lie. My knees were shaking. My chest was tight. And yet, my eyes didn't leave his. His lips curved, not quite a smile, not quite a threat. "You should be." That was our beginning. Not a kiss, not a confession, but a war between his darkness and my desperate will to stand tall in front of him. The city outside buzzed with its usual chaos. New York never sleeps, they say. But inside his penthouse, silence pressed against me like a heavy velvet curtain. It was just him and me, two lives colliding where they never should have touched. His name was Adrian Blackwell, a man who owned half the skyline and commanded the other half with whispered threats. Ruthless, feared, untouchable. They said he was a king dressed in Armani, but all I saw was a man haunted by shadows, holding them close like armor. And me? I was just Ethan Carter, 24, broke, working 2 jobs, clinging to a scholarship that barely kept me afloat. I had no business being here in his world. But life doesn't ask for permission before throwing you into the fire. It started 3 weeks ago when I stumbled into the wrong place at the wrong time. A warehouse, men in suits, a deal gone sour, and me with my stupid camera trying to snap pictures for a freelance piece that might have paid my rent. They caught me, dragged me into the light like prey, and then appeared, Adrian. With one glance, the room obeyed. With one word, they released me. Not because I was safe, but because I was his. I didn't understand then. I barely do now. But in that moment, my life stopped belonging to me. Tonight was proof. He stood close, so close I could smell the faint trace of expensive cologne mixed with something rawer, darker, like smoke and rain. His hand brushed my wrist by accident, I told myself. But I wasn't sure accidents existed with him. "You look at me like you want to run," Adrian murmured, eyes narrowing. "But you haven't moved." "Maybe I'm just stupid," I whispered back, though my voice cracked. For the first time, he laughed. Low, surprised, dangerous. And God help me, I wanted to hear it again. That's the cruelest part of this story. He terrified me, controlled me, took pieces of my freedom like they were his birthright. Yet every time he leaned closer, my body betrayed me, heat pooling in my chest. A tremor of longing I couldn't fight. People called him a monster. Maybe they were right. But monsters don't look at you like you're the only thing keeping them from shattering. The night stretched on, heavy with silence. Finally, he spoke again, softer this time. "Ethan, you don't belong in my world. I should have let them finish what they started." I flinched, but then his fingers caught my chin, forcing me to look at him. But I didn't. Do you know why? I shook my head, breath caught somewhere between fear and something I refused to name. His thumb brushed the corner of my mouth. "Because even in my darkness, I saw your light, and I wasn't ready to let it go." My heart slammed against my ribs. I should have pulled back. I should have screamed. Instead, I whispered the only truth I had left. "You scare me." "I know." His hand lingered, trembling almost imperceptibly. "And yet, you're still here." That was when I realized something terrifying. For all his power, all his control, he wasn't invincible. He wasn't untouchable. He was a man standing at the edge of something he couldn't control. Me. And maybe, just maybe, I wasn't ready to let go either. The city lights spilled through the glass wall behind us, casting fractured patterns across his face. For a moment, he didn't look like the ruthless tycoon everyone whispered about. He looked human, broken, desperate. And when his lips finally brushed mine, hesitant, searching, like he was asking permission he never asked anyone for, I let him. I don't know what shocked me more, that I didn't resist, or that I kissed him back. The days that followed blurred into a storm of contradictions. He would disappear into meetings that lasted until dawn, his world filled with shadows I couldn't see. Yet when he returned, he always found me sometimes silent, sometimes demanding, but never indifferent. At first, I convinced myself I was trapped, that every stolen kiss, every brush of his hand against my back, was just part of his control. But the truth crept in slowly, quietly, like sunlight through curtains I never meant to open. I wanted him. Terrified me more than his threats ever did. One night I snapped. I pushed him away, heart pounding as I shouted, "You can't keep me here, Adrian. I'm not some possession you can lock away in your gilded cage." His face went cold, that mask of power sliding back into place. "Is that what you think you are? My possession? What else am I? You saved me, yes, but you also chained me to you." My chest heaved, the words tasting like fire. "I don't even know if this is love, or just another way for you to win." The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, for the first time, Adrian looked defeated. Not angry, not dangerous, just human. "I don't know how to love right," he admitted, voice breaking. "All I've ever had is power, control, fear. But you make me want to learn." It was the closest thing to a confession he'd ever given me, and it gutted me. From that night on, things changed. Slowly, cautiously, like two men learning to breathe again. He still carried his darkness, but he let me see it without flinching away. And I, in turn, stopped running from the pull that had always drawn me to him. Our war became a truce. Our truce became something fragile, tender, real. But the world outside didn't forget. His enemies circled like vultures, waiting for weakness. And letting me in was the greatest weakness he'd ever shown. It all came to a head one rain-soaked evening. We were leaving a charity gala, his arm tense around me, when the shots rang out. Chaos exploded. Screams, shattered glass, and him shoving me behind a car as the world spun. "Stay down," he barked, before vanishing into the fray. I don't remember much, just the deafening sound of my heart, the cold rain, and the realization that I couldn't lose him, not now, not after everything. When it was over, he returned, drenched and furious, a shallow cut across his temple. He grabbed me, shaking. "Are you hurt?" I could only choke out his name, my hands trembling against his face. And then, right there in the chaos, I kissed him hard, desperate, alive. That was the night we stopped pretending. From then on, Adrian stopped hiding me away. He introduced Menet as someone he owned, but as someone he loved. It was reckless, dangerous, but for once he didn't care. Neither did I. The battles didn't vanish. His world was still dark, still cruel. My life was still tangled in places I never asked for. But love doesn't erase scars, it teaches you how to carry them. Months later, on a quiet morning in Central Park, the city humming softly around us, Adrian took my hand. No suits, no guards, just him, stripped down to the man I had come to know. "I used to think light was weakness," he said quietly, staring at the lake. "But you proved me wrong." I smiled, squeezing his hand. "And I used to think love was a trap. But maybe it's the only thing that sets us free." He turned then, eyes softer than I'd ever seen, and whispered, "Stay with me, Ethan. Through the shadows, through the storms. Stay." I didn't hesitate. Always. The kiss we shared then wasn't stolen, wasn't born of fear or power. It was ours, pure, defiant, a promise carved into the heart of a city that had tried to break us both. And for the first time, I realized the truth of our story. He had claimed me with his darkness, yes, but in the end, it was my light that claimed him back. Love had turned the monster into a man, and together we chose not just survival but happiness. The world could rage on, but in that moment, in his arms, we had already won. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.